Welcome to the Cool Tools Show. I'm Mark Frauenfelder, Editor-in-Chief of Cool Tools, a website of tool recommendations written by our readers. You can find us at cool-tools.org. I'm joined by my co-host, Kevin Kelly, founder of Cool Tools. Hey, Kevin.
Hey, it's great to be here.
In each episode of the Cool Tools Show, Kevin and I talk to a guest about some of his or her favorite uncommon and uncommonly good tools they think others should know about. Before we introduce this week's guest, I want to give a shout out to our Patreon supporters. Patreon is a great way to support everything Cool Tools does, including our newsletters, podcast, video channel, and our flagship review website. This week, we want to give a shout out to John Hobson, Alan Lowson, and Bill Kirkpatrick. To become a patron of Cool Tools, visit patreon.com/cooltools. Our guest this week is Gioia Palmieri. Gioia was born in Boston in 1967. She's the co-editor and publisher of Mineshaft, a small art, comics, and literary mag that was started in 1999. Gioia lives in Durham, North Carolina with her daughter Irena and Mineshaft partner Everett Rand. She's currently working on a novel. Hey Gioia, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks a lot for having me on the show.
Oh, it's a real pleasure to have you. We're so delighted to hear what you have recommended for us.
Great.
It's good, yeah. And so after we're done talking about this stuff, we'll talk about Mineshaft, which I have a lot of questions about. It's so cool. But let's start with your first pick, which is called Gamine.
Yeah, Gamine.
I'm not doing good on pronouncing things right. Okay, Gamine. Okay, tell us about it.
Well, Gamine it's a great it's workwear for women. And I found it, searching around a while, like I think about 6 years ago. My garden pants had just totally given out, and I couldn't. They weren't making them anymore. So I looked around the internet and I found these. It was kind of a new company. I guess it started in 2014. It's run by a woman who's a gardener. And they make the most fantastic, I know it's for women, but men can use it for gifts, let me tell you. But they make fantastic pants, shirts, coveralls, hats. They work with a hat company out of Portland, Oregon that makes all their hats in Portland. They're wonderful hats. They're like an intentionally small company that I really admire because they're kind of like Mineshaft. They just want to do what they want to do, and they want to keep it super high quality. And I really like their philosophy. They use like vintage. They search out and find vintage fabric. And so my garden pants are made from like vintage denim from North Carolina, printed at the
when you say vintage, do you mean that it's like 20 years old and has like an old bolt left over from somewhere?
Like old stock. Yeah. And they use like archival designs from, they work with this woman at Dickies, the Dickies, the old pants. And so I have these, like, I have another garden pants that was based off an old design from like women air flyers from World War II. I mean, they're just great stuff. And
that's so cool.
Yeah, not only that, but they look good and they hold up. I mean, they're just, but I really like their philosophy. They're good people, a small company out of Rhode Island. And like during the pandemic, they let their, a bunch of the customers, we supported their efforts to make gowns and masks for a hospital in New York. They're just good people and great products, but they're funny because, they just do what they want to do. And so they'll send out an email and say, we're doing our jeans, you got to pre-order, and they'll run out, and sometimes I ask them, hey, can't you do like another color? No, so I just really appreciate they're really focused on exactly what they do and doing it really well, so I kind of, and I admire the woman that runs it.
So cool.
And how are their prices? So you have work jeans or overalls. What would they run?
Now, I would say most of their pants run over 100, like 125 to 150. Sometimes they have sales, but I'll tell you, you just need one pair and you can wear it and wear it, So I know people kind of raise their eyebrows on the price, but it's made in the US. Their materials made in the United States. They're small and their products are made to last, So you save up and you buy a shirt or a pair of pants every once in a while, but it's
and are they kind of custom made? If they're that small, are you giving them measurements and they're making it, or do they have a selection and you're having to choose your size from it?
Yeah, you have at first I was a little intimidated, because they have sizes and I was like, oh my gosh, but you just, Whitney is a service person and you just email her and you tell her your size. And if you get it wrong, they let you return it, and,
wow.
they're just, and so for a little bit, it took me some trial and error. I like my clothes a little bigger than maybe they, you give them the measurements and they want them to like fit you really. I like it a little bigger, so it took a little while, but it was completely worth it. And I kind of have a relationship with these guys. I'll email them and, say, well, I bought this and it fit this way. Would this fit? Okay. Yeah, sure. So it's just a fun to buy from them and fun to see what they have. I'm waiting for the summer. They hopefully will have their work shorts again, because I've kind of worn mine almost out. It's really hard to wear the stuff out.
These coveralls are really cool looking.
Oh boy. Now Everett got me that as a present, and I haven't worn them yet because I can't wear them outside. They're too nice, So I'm trying to.
Yeah, they look great. They're so
the
cool.
fabric is just fantastic. I have a pair of pants also made from that same fabric. I think it's it's North Carolina mill, or some Southern mill.
Let's see. So could you describe what they look like, Mark, since you say they look cool? In what way?
Well, they are kind of this like blue on blue striping, and it's just like a jumpsuit. It looks like something that an Air Force pilot in World War I would wear or something. Almost.
Or like a cool mechanic,
Yeah, like a mechanic. That's better. Yeah.
I totally, it's hanging in my closet waiting for me to put it on, So that was a big, that was a fun splurge. And I also, though someone else makes their hats are so fun. Because, it's hard to find a hat made in the United States that you can actually afford, because though they're expensive, they almost run a couple $100, try to find a hat made in the United States, I mean,
I'm a fan of the Tilly hats. Mm-hmm. I think they're made in the U.S. I'm not really sure though.
Yeah. Well, some of the hats that used to be made in the U.S., you turn them over now and they're not made in. These guys make their hats right in Portland.
So this is really. Tell us about your second cool tool.
So my second one is it's kind of along the same lines. It's Rivendell Mountain Works. This is a company Everett kind of discovered looking around, trying to find like an old timey, from the 70s and 80s, kind of those old day packs, because the day packs have gotten so kind of fancy and stiff. And so he came upon this company, and we've been buying from them for probably 10 or 12 years. They're also another intentionally small, I think they call them like a micro cottage industry. They are made in Monroe, Washington, like little one or two people make each piece. It's made from extremely sturdy material, very affordable.
What would affordable be? How much would it cost?
Well, I can't remember. I haven't bought a day pack in a while, but their shoulder bags are run almost like around 90, from 65 to 100 or something dollars, but they last forever, and they're made right. They're just, I have two of their bags, plus I have their day pack. And I have a larger pack. They're just super comfortable, incredibly sturdy. I think they're just made to last a lifetime. I haven't had any kind of rips or anything in them,
It looks like the packs are between $150 and $180.
Right. Depending on the size. Yeah. And again, I mean, I think that's kind of reasonable for a pack that just lasts and lasts, but also you're supporting a small company that, has workers right here in the States, and they use local suppliers, they're really great company. And also they have personal service. You got any questions, you kind of want to maybe take a color and switch it out with another color they have. They'll do that for you,
Okay. So tell us about your third cool tool.
My third one is a favorite company of mine, Taiga. Have you ever heard of Taiga Works? It's in Canada, I think it's Vancouver. And it's a larger company. They make the stuff I buy, they make in Canada. They make they have a number of things. They're into like super outerwear and survival wear, different equipment, active wear. But what I really love about them is the products they are making in Canada. They're 100% merino wool shirts. They're fleece. They've got all kinds of fleece things like fleece blankets, fleece jackets, fleece vests. I think we have something of all of this. We've been buying from them probably for 12 years. Even my daughter can finally fit into the clothing. So she loves it. They're soft and comfortable. And you get kind of a deal sometimes depending on the exchange rate, and they're a quirky company. They make you put sizes in some, like your measurements, because they don't like to send you the wrong thing because of shipping. And so sometimes I get a call from them, and it's always the same woman. She does the service. She's really funny. She'll call me from British Columbia. She'll call me and she'll say, "Are you sure you want that size?" And I'll be like, "Yes, I want it big," and so we go back and forth and just really fun. Always the same person. The guy who runs it, I think has started it, is a German guy. And she always says how he's just really meticulous, and yet they're quirky too. They don't always put the right colors on the website, or sometimes you order something, it's a little different color, but I like that. I mean, I think it's always good. There's no, it's always good. Like they said, they have these great fleece blankets and they say not available to ship to the United States. So I asked them, I was talking to her on the phone because she called me about some size. And I said, "What about the blankets?" And she goes, "Oh, people complain about the shipping they don't like the charge." And I said, "Well, ship me a blanket anyways." It was hardly any extra, but it's funny, they didn't want to deal with people, so they just wouldn't ship.
That's so funny.
They're just very quirky. I mean, all three of these companies I'm talking about, I mean, I'm kind of promoting a lot of products, I'm promoting the companies, but because they're just these individualistic, strong-willed companies making stuff, in locally, I guess you want to say locally, but, in their countries. And I just respect what they're doing. And I also think they're a lot of fun, great products. Taiga, you can't go wrong. I think maybe they're better known in Canada, but I never see.
Yeah, I've never heard of them before.
I never see anybody wearing Taiga clothes. But I'm telling you, if you bought some, you'd be like, "This stuff is great," and if you're in a cold, I mean, I'm just naturally cold all the time, even though I live in the South, and I just love having I love having warm clothes. So I always say I wish I had known of them when I was in Vermont, because it was always freezing.
Yeah, it looks like good Vermont clothing.
Oh boy,
definitely.
If I had grown up with Taiga, I would have been a warm person.
That's great. Yeah. We could use that in LA right now. It's been in the 40s here.
Ooh, that must feel really cold.
It's a shock for us. Yeah, we're not used to it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm in the South and I like the heat. You won't hear me complaining.
Yeah. So tell us about Eden Foods.
Yeah, Eden, I think a lot of people maybe have heard of Eden Organics, but I'm giving them a big shout out because this company has been around a long time and they're one of the last remaining independently owned grocery stores. You won't find a lot of, or should say grocers,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you won't find a lot of companies that can tell you exactly where their products come from. They're really into sourcing United States products like soybeans and grains. They also import a lot of stuff from Japan. They're into macrobiotics. And my peeve these days is that they're getting cleared out of our co-ops because they are a little pricier than these kind of giant, suspicious, quote unquote, organic companies that are pushing in on the shelves. I'm sure you've noticed it if you shop that way. So during the pandemic, Eden wasn't available anymore in my co-ops. And also I wasn't even going to the store. So I was like, oh gosh, where am I going to get this stuff? So it occurred to me to go online, and they have this great website that I think you guys would have to pay sales tax in California, but because they don't have a warehouse, their warehouses, they have one in California and one in Michigan. And so we don't have to pay sales tax, and you get free shipping over like $65 or something. So all of a sudden I was like, oh, I hadn't seen such a great span of Eden products in years, because they've just been wiped off the shelves. So they're alive and well. I want to let everybody know. And their website is fantastic. And you can get really great deals on bulk. So like if you have a friend you want to go in with, or you're like us and you like to get a case of olive oil and a case of tomatoes,
Stuff that lasts.
Yeah, stuff that lasts. So during the pandemic, I stocked up I stocked up my shelves with grains. I still have way too much, like millet and quinoa. But I was really surprised that the prices were really good. And then also they have sales, and they'll send you like emails for their sales. But I really think in this day and age, it's important to know where your food's coming from as best you can. I'm a big farmer's. I go to the farmer's market and I shop at co-ops, and I like to know the people who make my food as much as I can. And Eden is the one place that has packaged food that I actually kind of trust. I think recently they got a big award from, I think it was Denmark, saying how great their soy milk was because they didn't use GMO soybeans, and, they're just a cut above the rest because, America is pretty slack with their food. You know what I mean? We don't really, we're more into cheap than quality. In general, I'm saying that on as a culture, maybe as a huge, it's a gross generalization, but so I just make a big shout out to Eden because I'm glad they're still around. And I'm always worried they're going to get swallowed up by some huge food company.
Yeah. So would you say they're like a lot more expensive than like, say, Whole Foods, or
no,
in the same ballpark?
No. And as a matter of fact, Whole Foods is one of the few grocery stores that keeps them on the shelves, not everything, of course, but they do have like their applesauce and especially their Japanese stuff like the umbashi plum vinegar or the tamari, that kind of stuff. No, I think I spend a lot of money on my food, I guess. I wouldn't say I have a lot of money, but what I have, I spend most of it on food. So I'm used to, I expect to pay a little more for but I feel like you can get a good deal by getting the cases. You can get I think they give you a 12% off on cases, and, you can save, but I don't know. People just like to spend as little as possible in the grocery store in general. So I'm sure for some people it would be expensive, and others it would just be normal price. Depends how you
Yeah.
shop.
Have you ever tried the black sesame butter? It looks really interesting.
Yes, I at some point I was into like shaking up my diet or something, and it's pretty intense. I don't know if I actually finished it, but it was like, I think I was eating too much of it, and I was like, oh boy, I got to go back to the regular tahini.
Is it strong tasting or something?
No, it's just really powerful, like in terms of your system. You're like, you just spread it thinly on like a piece of bread or rice cake or something. Yeah, it's very healthy. Black sesames are really good for you.
It looks cool.
Yeah,
I love the way it looks.
Yeah, it actually tastes really good. Yeah, I've tried most of their products, I think. Yeah, their olive oil and crushed tomatoes, all that. It's really good. And if you're into grains, they're really good. Super grains and excellent dried beans, and even canned beans. Yeah,
that's a good one. Well,
yeah.
That's a good recommendation.
Oh,
Thanks, Gioia.
Oh, you're welcome.
And I like that you can order the stuff online too.
Highly recommended. It's really
cool. I'm definitely going to check that out.
Yeah.
Because I like to change up my diet, and I tend to just like reorder the same things over and over again.
I'm the same way. The pandemic's helped me a little to shake out of that. But one thing I want to say about them is they are really great shippers. Like, we pack and ship a lot of magazines, and these guys, like, they pay attention to their shipping. I mean, it comes pristine, so you can order glass, because I was a little worried about that. I ordered a case of applesauce, and a case of olive oil, and everything came pristinely packed. I mean, no breakage or anything.
That's great.
Yeah,
cool.
So you can have confidence. Order up.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
So we have a few minutes left. I wanted to talk about your magazine. It's called Mineshaft.
Yes.
And it just, to me, I grew up reading Robert Crumb's Weirdo magazine.
Oh, yeah.
And so I loved it. And then when I came across Mineshaft, I noticed that there's like a lot of overlap in authors. It's a completely different magazine. It's more of a literary magazine with writing, and you have great authors like John Helton.
Yeah.
And then just the amazing artists that you have too, like not only Robert Crumb, but Drew Friedman, Mary Fleener. What gave you the idea to do and continue to do a print magazine in this era where that's like been like wiped out by online media?
Yeah, I guess we're like dinosaurs, I think we of course we started before online was happening, and then we both, Everett and I, we love print. We love old books, and we love old comics, and we didn't have any kind of impetus or interest in going online. So we just because we like what we do, I remember somebody reviewed us once and said, well, obviously, you go to their website and you can see that they do print, because we have like a vintage website. We can't even do a modern website, So I think we just love print material, and it's so much fun to produce something that's in print still. It's a battle. And even now, our printer's plate maker broke, and they can't replace the technology. So they have to go out for now this number 40. They have to use a different vendor. It's like such a pain in the butt for them, and we're always, just insisting, no, we want to stay offset. But it's just been it's been a series of, just crazy stories of trying to stay in print, but it's worth it. It's fun, and it's great to have people get excited when they get something, in the mail. And so I think we like doing it.
So could you describe the magazine? So this is a magazine that approximately, what size is it? How many pages is it normally? And you're saying that it's printed in offset, meaning that it's not a digitally printed. It's not laser printed. It's printed with ink. So what size and how many pages would a typical issue?
No, yeah, it's offset press, right? Yeah, it's 5.5 by 8, so it's like half page. It's usually can be 48 to 60 pages. This issue coming up, number 40, is 60 pages, which we love because we have had a lot of kind of features we want to put in there. So sometimes our printers can't really handle printing more than 52 or 56 pages. So our printer's printing 60, which is, if that works, we'll probably keep that going for a little bit because we've had a lot of we've got some new contributors with some big features that we want to do.
How often does it come out?
Well, in the old days, it would come out 3 times a year. And then we've had different things, like when Irena was born, we managed to just get out 1 a year. And now we're kind of back up to almost 2 a year, because it's more involved right now. There's a lot more, Everett spends a lot more time laying out the magazine than he used to. We used to just cut and paste at the last minute. We were laughing about, we didn't even have air conditioning when we first moved here. And he'd be like sweating and try not to drip on the pages while he was gluing them up,
And do you still do it that way? Do you still do paste up boards?
No, we had to go to InDesign. First we went to like PageMaker, and then our old printer was very kind and gave me a copy of InDesign. And now we actually, we bought InDesign. He insisted we couldn't do, the person that took the paste up people went out of business. And so they made us go, finally we went to InDesign, which is fine. We're pretty good at InDesign right now. And then we send it over in a PDF, and that's how it's done now, and then printed on offset press.
And I mean, the artists you get, like Drew Friedman and Crumb, Art Spiegelman, these are people who are like in super high demand. And I don't imagine you have like a huge editorial budget.
No.
They are contributing because they love Mineshaft, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, we're really grateful to them, and they kind of, I guess they like being together, they get excited about that. And also Everett really has this talent of bringing people together. He just is really good at that. That's really his skill, as an editor. He just seems to attract people, and he also does a really good job printing people's work. And I think then they're happy about that, because he's really attention to detail, and it's not digitalized, and I think it's fun for them to, and gratifying to see their work like clear in print, you know what I mean?
In high quality.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you give them assignments, or is it kind of like this? They have total freedom to kind of produce whatever they want that issue?
Our regular contributors, like Robert Crumb or Drew, a lot of contributors, people just send in work, and with Robert Crumb, we love his work. We're completely psyched to print his stuff. He's doing the cover for the new issue coming up, and maybe it'll be a little controversial, but we're just totally excited to print it.
That's not unusual, I have to say, because he did work for me, and we were running the whole Earth, and he did covers for us. But there was a famous cover that the other editors on the magazine rebelled against.
Oh,
which one was that, Kevin?
Oh, the one where he had the Nazi symbols, the swastikas, in the eyeballs of this.
Oh no!
It was about the atomic bomb, and there was kind of this person's freaking out, and their eyes are kind of bulging, coming out, and there was swastikas in their eyeballs, and it was like there were certain editors who just were offended by that. So it didn't even. Well, I think it eventually did run, but there was a kind of a controversy behind the scenes, basically, and plus other ones that he's done that also were. I mean, he's made for that. That's his middle name, So.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah. He likes to speak his mind, and he's really he really stays with he's really current. He's always. We've got some, we actually have new work by him, long letters in the new issue. I mean, he's really active, and he's just been very generous with us, and he's a good guy. He and Everett correspond quite a bit, and I always love reading his letters.
Right.
And then
I saw a book by Arkham that I didn't get because I was in a hurry, but I want to go back to it. He did a journal of his dreams.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And you would think most people's dreams are they don't really translate well, I guess. I mean, they're kind of like, yeah, that's a strange dream. So what? But his actually were kind of like interesting to read. It was the first time I kind of was reading other people's dreams, wanting more rather than less.
Yeah. Well, Everett early on took him up on. We've been printing his dreams for issues now.
Oh,
and they
I see.
finally we actually worked with the person that published the book and gave him some, and we kind of gave him some that he needed, or I can't.
Cool.
So yeah, Everett has always backed his dream. The dreams are fascinating, but they're in many issues of the magazine.
Oh, okay. Well, wonderful.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, my daughter has that book and really likes it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He manages to make it completely fascinating,
Yeah. Well, great. More power to you. So I wish you guys continued success in being the dinosaur.
Thank you.
May no asteroids hit you. And
or the printer,
Yeah, exactly. Right. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
We really.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I really enjoyed being on your show, and thanks for having me.
Hey everybody, it's your co-host Mark, and I wanted to let you know that we have a lot more going on here in Cool Tools than just this podcast. We have our flagship website where we review a new tool every day. That's at cool-tools.org. We also have 4 different newsletters. We have this podcast. We have a YouTube channel where we review tools. And if you like what you hear and see and read, the best way to help us out is by going to our Patreon page at patreon.com/cooltools and donate at any level you wish. You can even contribute $1 a month, and that would mean a lot to us. The money that you give us will go towards paying for our transcribing costs, editing videos, and editing the podcast. It goes towards paying contributors who write the reviews for us. It goes towards our equipment costs, our hosting costs, and it supports our very small company of 3 people. This week, I wanted to give a shout out to some of our Patreon supporters who have been giving us at least $2 a month. And if you give us $2 a month, we'll give you a shout out online. And this week, I would like to thank Michael Sakochia, Molly Starr, M. Velderman, Opposable Thumbs, Pamela Cooley, Patrick Weyer, Paul Hosey, Randy Fisher, Stuart Burrows Brand, Synaptic Sam, Therese Schwartz, Tom Hawkins, Tom Markham, What Bear, Javier Pangolin, David Lang, Eric Byers, Sean Hartley, Stephen Powell, Greg Lichtscheit, John Hobson, Adam Bristol, Adam Naher, Anonymous, Bill Kempthorne, Bruce I. Niles, Chris Woodruff, C. Kolos, Daryl Flynn, Egg Fleegoff, Eric Hanschrau, Eric Hoover, Godfrey Saldana, Jay Skiles, John M. Larson, Jude Galligan, Kenneth Gilman, and Lucas Frank. Thank you very much for supporting the show, and we will see you next week.